Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Little Dynamite Knits podcast. My name is Sarah and I live in Pennsylvania outside of Philly with my husband Brent and our three cats, Gustav, Gracie, and Gertie. Gracie is hanging out with me here today. It's very possible that she may crash the episode, but she's so cute that we'll allow it. And even if we didn't, she'd still do it anyway because she's a cat. And I am back here in my cozy, comfy chair in my usual corner of my craft room / office. I have to say, though, I really enjoyed recording at my desk last week. I liked having a surface in front of me. It made keeping track of things a lot easier, and it was more comfortable. So I think that might become a more regular filming location. But for today, we're going to be casual and knit, actually, while I talk to y'all. So I saw this on Rachel is Knitting's most recent episode. That's another podcast here on YouTube, one that I really enjoy, and I'll make sure that it's linked in my comments, or not comments, the description below. But she did a video, I think it was her most recent video, where she answered 26 questions that she got from, her name is Katie, and she has a blog called Pearl on Fire. So it's pearlonfire.blogspot.com. I will also put a link to that below. But Katie, on June 27th, posted, she calls it Tag a Knitter 26 Questionnaire. And what it is a series of 26 questions, all focused on fiber crafts and related topics. And they are organized into 4 categories. The first being introduce yourself, the second being this or that, then favorites, and ending with share the love. And I'm gonna knit while I talk to y'all. So I'm working on my Prospect Tee by Tori Yu. Still under the delusion that I can finish it in time for Flock next weekend. So we shall see. But I really enjoyed watching Rachel answer these questions, and it reminded me of, okay, so first, background info. I am an elder millennial, like almost the most elder of the elder millennials you can be, in my understanding, I think. I was born in 1981. I'm 44 right now. I'll save you the math. And when I was in college, and then for like the first half of my 20s, I kept a live journal. So how many of y'all remember live journal? And who was actually on live journal? My live journal is still online. It's protected, it's locked down, only I can get to it, but it's still there. And on LiveJournal, we used to do a lot of fun surveys and questionnaires, and people still do them on social media, like Facebook. Older people like me, I'll still see people post surveys, and I don't really do them anymore. But this one just seemed so fun, and I was really interested in hearing Rachel's answers, and I thought it was a really fun way to share a little bit more about my craft journey, so to speak. So I'm just going to start at the top, and we're going to go through the questions and take it from there. So the first question is, do you consider yourself a beginner, intermediate, or advanced knitter? My answer to this is that I think I am technically an advanced knitter with the confidence of an intermediate knitter. And so, Gracie, can we not move the camera? Like, that is the one place that I don't want you to be. Let's see if she stays put. So, what was I saying? Technically advanced, but with the confidence of an intermediate knitter. The reason I say that is because for some reason, even though I've been knitting for well over 20 years, I did not start knitting garments until about 3 years ago. And that was for a variety of reasons, some more deep than others. You know, my body is too big for a knit garment. It won't look good. There's also quite a financial commitment to knitting garments when you are knitting for larger bodies, no matter what kind of yarn you're using. But I think also part of it was I just didn't think I was like technically skilled enough to knit a garment. And that's just not true. So since then, since I started knitting garments, I have had a garment whip going at all times. I just haven't looked back. And I think technically, I don't think there's really anything in a knitting pattern I couldn't do. I might need to like pull up a YouTube tutorial just to like refresh my memory if it's something I don't do often. But for the most part, I at this point, I think I can say that I'm an advanced knitter. Question number 2, how old were you when you learned to knit? I was, I think, around 20. I started knitting when I was a sophomore in college. I went to Temple University in Philadelphia for my undergraduate degree, and I was living in an off-campus dorm situation that was really close to the old Whole Foods. If you know Philly, there used to be a Whole Foods really close to where the current one is, like around 20 something in Callow Hill near the art museum. And I used to work at that Whole Foods, by the way. That's not related to the story. I don't know why my brain just went there. But I used to go to that Whole Foods when I had money, which was not always, to buy random things to supplement my groceries. And I also used to buy the magazine that called Real Simple. So I don't know if y'all remember that magazine, but one of the issues that I bought had an article like how to knit a scarf or something like that. And I thought, I'll try that. So I went to Walmart and bought a pair of metal needles. Actually, I still have them. These are, God, they're so big. These are the needles I went and bought at Walmart. They are a size 15. That sounds not correct at all. Maybe these are the ones I started with. What are these? These are a size, what's 6.5 millimeter? Because the rest of it faded. 10.5, is that 10.5 US? One of those sets were my first ever knitting needles. So I went to Walmart, bought them, bought a skein of Red Heart Super Saver, and knit myself a very long rectangle. If I have a picture of it, I will insert it here. I'll have to go digging through my old Flickr account. Who remembers Flickr? There's another one. Flickr, LiveJournal, Tumblr. Who remembers Tumblr? I'm getting off topic again. Anyway, so I learned how to knit when I was a sophomore. So in the year 2002. So I've been knitting for about 24-ish years. Question number 3 is, do you do any other fiber crafts? So I am primarily a knitter, but I do know how to do some basic crochet. I can do a granny square, both one color and changing colors. I can do single crochet, double crochet. Is it a granny cluster where you do like 3? I don't know what that's supposed to be. But my crochet skills are very limited. I can also follow like a Wooble kit, and I've done like 2 of them, I think. So a very small amount of crochet. I do cross stitch. This is one of my finished cross stitches here. I have several others. I'm actually on a, like, not self-imposed, but I've been on a break from cross stitch. Just I've been so focused on knitting that I haven't picked up my cross stitch in a while. But I have a really cool project that I was in the middle of that I hope to get back to soon. And I just bought a sewing machine. So hopefully I will start making myself some pants and pretty much all bottoms, like pants, skirts, maybe some shorts. That's my goal with sewing. I also want to be able to take t-shirts and shorten the sleeves on them and maybe even change them into V-necks. I don't know if that's even possible, but I have a lot of t-shirts that I would love to make into V-necks. Hello, hi. Editing Sarah here to say I also spin. I completely forgot to talk about spinning, probably because my most recent spin was a bit of a fail and it made me really sad. And so I haven't spun for 2 days, but I am a spinner. I've now been spinning for almost a year or a little over a year. But yes, I spin. And aside from knitting, that is my favorite right now when it's not being mean to me. Question number 4. What are your non fiber hobbies? So, um, travel is one of the biggest ones. I have been traveling on my own since I was in high school. I did a lot of solo travel all over the United States, all throughout my 20s, probably into early 30s too. I've been to 48 states. Alaska will be my 49th in a couple weeks. And I've been to several countries in Europe, both with friends and on my own. So travel is huge. I also really love planning travel, like planning trips. I've helped family and friends plan trips in the past. So that's a passion of mine. And then I guess other than that, music, although I really hesitate to call music a hobby because it was my career. So both of my degrees are in music education. I play violin and viola, primarily viola. And before the pandemic, I was playing in a few local orchestras and doing a lot of freelance gigs around southeastern Pennsylvania. Since when COVID happened, orchestras were not playing in person. There was no live music. And then when things started to, kind of return to normal is about when my back issues started. And so it doesn't hurt my back to actually play my viola, but the posture and the position I need to be in to play it properly and well does hurt. So I have not played my viola in quite some time and I miss it quite a bit. So, but I taught orchestra for 18 years. So it was my career. And I'm really excited to get my back pain under control so I can get back to playing and hopefully make music more of a hobby than a career and return to playing with some local groups. Number 5, who do you knit for most often? So I knit for myself primarily. However, I am married to a man who appreciates hand knit anything more than any other human I've ever met. He is so appreciative and excited when I knit him something, especially socks. He loves wearing hand knit socks and he wears a size 13 shoe. And so, how much do I love this man? Enough to knit him socks for a size 13 feet. And not just that, but enough to, I bought black sock yarn for him so I can make him some dressier socks. So that yarn is just sitting waiting for me to pick it up, which it can keep on waiting because I'm not excited about that. But so after myself, I knit primarily for Brent. And then I also knit a lot for my mom. I make her a pair of socks every year for Christmas. And I've made her some accessories, like I made her the 3-color cashmere cow. That's a pattern by Joji Locatelli. And I've made a shawl for her. And this year she requested, after seeing mine and Brent's, she requested a Snuggle is Real. So I'm going to make her one of those as well. Other than that, I've knit for some of my friends' kids. Not a long time ago. How old is he? Gosh, he's in middle school now, but I knit my friend's son a bowling set. I only did 6 pins, not 9, but it was still really cool. I'll put a photo up. And I've knit socks for my other friends, triplets. They have triplet girls, and I let them pick out their yarn and tell me if they wanted stripes and different colors for their heels and how high or low they wanted their socks, and that was really fun. Let's see. Number 6. Can you knit in the dark without looking? Yes, to an extent. So I can knit, purl, and do like basic ribbing without looking at my knitting. So I can, if we're going to a movie, if I'm on the body of a sweater, I'll take that and just like if it's stockinette. But I'll also take a sock with me as long as I'm not doing the heel. And as long as I have the toe started already, I can knit socks when I'm at the movie theater. Number 7, how big do you knit your gauge swatches? It's just out of frame, but like, I don't know, like that. Basically, if it says, let's say it says 38 rows and 24 stitches over 4 inches. I will knit at least 4, well, I'll do a border. I always do like a garter border. So I'll cast on at least 10 more stitches than the gauge specifies. And I will knit at least like 5 or 6 more rows than I need to. But beyond that, I'm not knitting a larger gauge. At least not at this point. I haven't been burned enough that I've had to explore knitting larger gauges as of today. Number 8, do you have an FO fail? A project you finished and immediately hid? I don't think so. Because I think if I really didn't like it, or if it was that much of a failure, I would have frogged it before I finished it. I'm trying to think. I mean, one thing that comes to mind is I did, when I was doing La Mercerie's Year of Socks, you got a different sock set from a different dyer each month. And one of the months I tried to make a pattern that wasn't going to fit my foot. So I had to add repeat, but it was a very like intricate textured pattern. And then I had to figure out like all the math to do a heel because I didn't like the heel in the pattern. And I finished one sock and I did not like it. And I never even cast on the second sock. So that's probably the closest I have to that. And then the last question of this section is number 9. Do you have a Mount Everest project? Meaning a project you aspire to knit one day. I have a very long queue of patterns and projects that I want to make. I don't know if I would call any of them a Mount Everest. I think I maybe already knit my Mount Everest project when I knit the first ever garment that I knit for Brent. I knit him the Rough Edges cardigan, which is a pattern by Ann Hansen. And it is knit in pieces from the bottom up and seamed together. And at that point, my only garment knitting skills were a cardigan for myself. And it's not even really a cardigan. It's basically a shawl with armholes. And so I went from that to knitting him this huge worsted weight, bottom up seamed cardigan with a fold over collar. And that was an adventure. That was my first time knitting a seamed garment. It was my first time knitting a garment bottom up. It was my first time picking up that amount of stitches. It was for, a lot of firsts in that. And it turned out beautifully. It took a while. Like I kept putting it down because each time I had to do something new, I was scared. And I was like, I'll deal with you later. But the finished product is gorgeous and it looks so good on him. And so I think I've already knit my Mount Everest because I can't think of anything that's going to challenge me the same way that challenged me, especially now that I've knit several more garments. All right. The next section is called This or That. So number 10, metal needles or wood needles. Metal all the way. I only use ChalGoo fixed circular needles. I do not have an interchangeable set. I do not own any straight needles aside from the ones I just showed you, plus these ridiculous size 35s. These are 19 millimeter. I used to knit these. Sorry about that. I used to knit these drop stitch scarves and sell them in college, and those were the needles I used for that. But I now exclusively use ChiaoGoo fixed circulars. I have a very large amount of fixed circular needles. I probably could have bought several interchangeable sets at this point with the money I've spent on individual fixed circulars, but they are my preferred needles, and I will live on this hill forever. So, number 11, yarn in your right hand or yarn in your left hand. So you can probably see, I keep my yarn in my right hand, and I am a thrower. It's how I learned from the magazine article. Before YouTube tutorials were a thing. How did we knit before YouTube tutorials? Like, I look back on some of the projects I made when I was a baby knitter. I'm like, how the hell did I learn how to do that without watching someone else do it? Yeah. Anyway, so I am a thrower. I'm not a flicker. I'm like a full-on thrower, and I just keep my yarn looped over my pinky. I cannot knit without having a strand of yarn here. Like, my yarn has to be kind of behind me, so I feel a little bit of tension here. And that's not related to knitting. That's just my own sensory quirks. So I hold it here, and then I guess if you want to call it tensioning, and then I hold it in my fingers. So this is how I've been knitting since I learned. I used to think I should try to learn continental because maybe I could knit faster, and I very quickly abandoned that because, one, I don't care how fast I knit, and two, this feels comfortable and it's enjoyable. So I don't feel a need to change. If I'm doing color work, I can hold the yarn in both hands, but I rarely knit color work, so that's very rare. All right, number 12, flat or in the round. Again, and maybe it's because I'm a thrower, I have no preference here. I really have no preference because I don't mind purling. In fact, I think I might be able to purl faster than I knit as a thrower. And I don't have issues with rowing out. My tension is pretty consistent between knitting and purling. So flat or knit, I really truly don't care. I kind of like knitting flat though, because it's easier to tell like what row you are on in the pattern, like especially like wrong side, right side. But yeah, other than that, I don't mind. All right, hang on. I just finished a row in my pattern and I gotta mark it before I go to the next question. All right, what are we doing? Speaking of purling, all right, we're on a purl row. Okay, question number 13, process knitter or product knitter? I'm going to steal an answer that I saw in the comments of Rachel's video. Someone there said that they are a project knitter, and I really loved that. So I love knitting so much. I love the process of doing it. Just because it feels good, and I love having something in my hands, and it helps me focus, and I don't like having empty hands. So I pretty much enjoy everything about the process of knitting. Ooh, except for that stitch. That looks gross. I hope that blocks out. Yeah, product knitter. Obviously I want the thing I'm knitting. I want to have that finished product, or I want to give that finished product to someone. But I'm not going to knit something just to have a product if I truly hate the process of knitting. I'm just not going to do that. Like, there's just not time to spend time doing things I don't enjoy for fun in my free time. So if I truly hate something, Gracie, if I truly hate something, I'm just not going to work on it. But yeah, I'm going to say I'm a project knitter. So I wish I could remember who left that comment, but it was a good one. All right, number 14, sweaters or socks. They're so different. Like, how on earth do you even compare? So like if I could only do one, I love knitting socks so much. Like I am such a sock knitter. Um, but now I love knitting garments so much. Oh my goodness. Hi, Gracie. um, how do I answer this question? Or if I could only do one, socks. I'm going to say socks. And I'm only going to say that because Brent loves them so much. My hand knit socks are the only socks that I wear now because they're the most comfortable. I got rid of all my other socks. And my sweaters, well, first of all, I don't really knit sweaters. I knit t-shirts because I overheat so much. So yeah, let's go with socks. Number 15, cables or lace. I'm going to say lace. Cabling, I don't mind. Especially if I can do it without a cable needle, if it's a smaller cable or if I'm using like really sticky yarn. But like super involved cables, I just, I like how they look, but I just don't really enjoy doing them. So we'll say lace. I'm working on a lace shawl right now. So, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Number 16, alpaca or mohair. Alpaca for sure. Like not even, I don't even have to think about that. But if we go into a little bit more detail, I think I've only bought one skein of mohair yarn in my life. And they went into those socks that I never even cast on the second one. And part of that was because I didn't like how I tried to do a version of the hibernation house socks where I did like this fluffy, fuzzy cuff and then went into this textured pattern for the foot of the sock. That project was doomed from the start. But that was the only skein of mohair I had in my stash. I didn't like working with it. I didn't like how it felt. And I have not bought mohair since. So I have all alpaca, Surrey alpaca in my stash. All right, 17, knitting in public, cozy or cringe? Cozy. I'll go beyond cozy. Awesome, fun, exciting, helps you meet new people. There's nothing wrong with knitting in public. It is, I knit everywhere I can. Whether I'm traveling, if I'm at, a restaurant or a bar by myself, if I'm at a friend's house. I went to a friend's house several months ago. And at one point I took my knitting out. And another friend who was there looked at me and they were like, "You're just going to like start knitting?" And I was like, yeah, I am. And when I'm with, and what I'm about to say doesn't apply to that friend. But when I'm, in group situations, I'll look around a lot of the time and people are on their phones. And if I'm knitting, I'm not on my phone and I'm able to focus on what you're saying more. So yeah, I knit everywhere that I can. All right, next category is called favorites. So number 18, favorite stitch pattern. And it says, yes, stockinette is a stitch pattern. So yeah, stockinette, garter, reverse stockinette, basically anything repetitive that's not ribbing. That's the one thing I very much dislike. Because I'm a thrower, ribbing is a lot of motion. And I don't enjoy it. I don't care if it's 2x2, 1x1, 3x1, twisted ribbing, like it doesn't matter. All ribbing is tedious and just a slog for me. But stockinette, garter, reverse, all of that is good. No problems with that. Number 19, favorite finish object picture. I love this question because at first I thought it just said favorite FO, but it says favorite FO picture. And I am horrible at taking finished object photos. And a lot of that has to do with like very deep like internalized like body insecurity and body shame, and just an entire childhood of being bullied and made fun of beyond belief. But I don't love to take photos of myself wearing my finished knits. But when I was at Rhinebeck last year, I met Symphony, and she took some photos of me wearing my, what's it called, Traveler shell. And they are some of my favorite photos, not just of a finished object, but of myself, like ever, because she just captured the joy of that weekend and everything about it. So thank you, Symphony. I don't know if you're watching this, but thank you for those lovely photos. I hope you're ready to take some more if we see each other again this October, because I'm going to bring some other FOs. Number 20, favorite increase method. Like a KFB, just a knit front and back. That's my favorite to do. Make one lefts are great. Make one rights can F off. Those are so annoying. But yeah, KFB. 21, favorite designer. My favorite designers are, I have favorite designers that I've never made their patterns before, but for a designer to be a favorite of mine, they have to be truly size inclusive, and just write patterns that are supportive and thoughtful and be accessible. So like some of my favorite designers are Tori Yu, and I have made her, I'm knitting one of her patterns right now, Andrea Mowry, Rebecca Clow of Crayabea, Samantha Guerin. I love her garment and accessory patterns. And my favorite sock pattern designer is Carly Perrins of Northwoods Knit Co. She has gorgeous sock patterns, and she releases them in collections. So you usually get like 2 or 3 patterns in each collection. And she writes every pattern for both toe up and cuff down. So love her. You should check her out if you're a sock knitter. 22, favorite place to knit. Home. Here in my house, either in this chair or up on the couch watching a Phillies baseball game. Or if I'm at a fiber event, knitting with fiber friends. 23, favorite yarn weight. I'm going to say it. It's fingering. Fingering because of a few reasons. One, it's what I use for socks. 2, fingering weight garments are my preference to wear on my body. They take forever, but it's what my body prefers. I have yet to make myself a garment. That's not true. I made something out of Santa's Garden Lena. And what is that, worsted weight? But I only wear that. It's a worsted weight tank top, but I only wear it in the winter under a cardigan. So fingering weight yarn, you can also double it and make DK. So again, if I only could choose one, I would choose fingering. And 24, favorite fiber. Well, now that I'm a spinner, thank you for asking. My favorite fiber to spin is Shanico. My favorite fiber to knit with is probably a linen merino or cotton merino. Linen, cotton, my gosh, why can't I talk? Linen merino blend. Some examples of that, I really love exploring at some fibers, linen sock base. It's like 80% non-superwash merino, 20% nylon. I love that base. Hold on, I just made a mistake. So this row, it's like you purl most of it, but there's a couple stitches where you do something different, and I forgot. There we go. Back on track. What else? So yeah, I really love that linen sock base. And then I also love Amy Sher's new yarn. It's called Comfort Silk Linen. So it's merino, linen, and silk. And that's also a lovely yarn to fiber makeup to work with. All right, we are at the last category, and it is share the love. So first, where do you like to shop for yarn? So my favorite local yarn store is called Pearls of Wisdom. It is in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. It is very close to where I live. I have friends who work there. The shop is big and beautiful. You walk in, and the first room is primarily like notions and tools and accessories. And then there's a whole separate space for classes. And then there's the biggest room where all the yarn is. And so it's Jennifer has done a really amazing job with that store. And it has been successful enough that she's opened the second one called Mainline Pearls. So Pearls of Wisdom is my LYS. And then for shopping for yarn online, I tend to buy, if I'm buying yarn online, I tend to buy primarily from indie dyers. My stash has a lot of Explorer knits, and it has a lot of old Woolberry Fiber Co. Because I love their sock bases. They have that 80-20 merino nylon. I think Woolberry's was BFL, which I really love. Paisley Knits is another one that I really enjoy purchasing from. Part of that is also because I've done a lot of sample knitting for her. And so, you know, for however many skeins are in the sample, I get to apply that toward yarn purchase. So I have a few sweater quantities from Paisley Knits, and I love her bases. All right, final question, number 26. Which knitting content creators are you loving at the moment? So my, I have several, but I'll share a few. Let's see. Jeff of Losing My Knit. He is a buddy of mine. We've hosted a make along together, and we have a similar sense of humor. So he's really fun to watch. He and his husband just got a new puppy, so you should go check him out. Michael of Piece for Piece Crafting. I've really enjoyed watching his videos lately. He's working on some different spinning projects, and it's been really fun to follow along with those. Fiber Hustle, I just love their humor. They make me laugh every time I watch them. I could sit here and talk forever about the people and the content creators I love. M to the third, I just really started getting more and more into her videos. And Emily of the Botanical Knitter is one of the most delightful humans ever. So is Madi from Colorado Knitter. If you want to know who you should watch, can you see who other people are subscribed to? I don't know if you can, but I'll list folks below. Even if I didn't just mention them, I'll list a few more. All right, we are approaching the 40-minute mark, and I don't want this video to get too long, so I'm going to stop it here. I'm going to just keep working on my prospect pullover. I got a whopping 1.5 rows done while sitting here talking with y'all. So today is Thursday, July 23rd. So I will probably record one more episode and schedule it to go up the weekend I'm actually at Flock. And then while I'm in Seattle, I think I'll do a Flock like recap video while I'm out there. And then when I come home from the Alaska cruise, I'm sure I'll have a lot to talk about for that. So Knit Girl Summer is just going to keep rolling along. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. And thank you, especially if you shared my podcast or Instagram recently. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I'm currently doing this Knit Girl Summer series where I'm uploading videos weekly. That is not normal for me. I'm usually monthly at best, but I think my goal after the summer is going to be every 2 weeks because I've been enjoying the consistency and the shorter videos. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, take care of each other, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you next time. Bye.